The very, very first check that I ever received in this business, okay, let me tell you about this. Pat and I had been working the business, we thought hard, for 30 days. We talked to a bunch of people. We went out there and collected a whole bunch of no's. And Colleen called me. I was at school one day, and she said, hey, our printout is here. I said, don't open it. I'll be right home. I remember racing home that day. I left school early because back then we had no internet or anything, right? We had to wait 30 days. We opened up the printout. We saw the printout. We saw the check. Everything was right there. So I open up the envelope. I see the printout. I see the check. And the check was for 46 cents. After 30 days of working the business, the check was for 46 cents. Whoa. And almost in stereo, Colleen and I both went, yes. And the reason we went, yes, was because we knew the system was in place. Everything that this company said they were going to do, they did. We saw the printout, we saw the customers that we signed up, we saw the activity, we saw the percentages that they were going to pay us, and it matched the check. The system was in place. The only thing that was wrong with this scenario, the printout wasn't big enough. The printout wasn't big enough. So from that day forward, the only thing that we tried to do was increase the pages of our printout. Because we knew that if we could increase the pages of the printout, the check had to follow. Because the system was in place. Now, obviously, it wasn't the biggest check I've ever received in this industry. But it was by far the most important check I ever received in this industry. I still have it. I still have it. That told me the system was in place. Now, guys, if you take a look at what we do in this business, okay, and you're out there talking to people about the industry and all that kind of stuff, you know, it really is a case where people don't understand what we do. We're not asking anybody to give up anything in what they're doing. We're just asking people to build this business on the side of what they currently do, but when your part-time income starts to exceed your full-time income, well, obviously at that point, you'd have the greatest problem in the world to have. So it's real easy to explain what we do after we've been in it for a while. But when you're talking to somebody brand new, it's difficult for me, and I'm not going to speak for you guys, but it's difficult for me because I sit there and I talk to somebody and go, why don't you see it the way I see it? Seriously, how come you can't see this? And I always have to go back thinking, Steve, you were the same way, you were the same way, you were the same way. Well, guys, let's compare longevity to corporate America. All right, corporate America versus longevity. Now, in corporate America, this is what it looks like. In corporate America, you have a JOB. Everybody know what JOB stands for? Yeah. Jerked out of bed, all kinds of stuff, right? Okay, at your job situation, you're working 40 hours a week. If you're lucky. If you're lucky, you're only working 40 hours a week. Let's say for 50 weeks out of the year, you get 2 weeks off for good behavior, right? For 40 years of your life, if you're lucky. So I'm being pretty conservative with these numbers, aren't I? So in other words, 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, for 40 years, you're working 80,000 hours in your lifetime. How depressing is that, all right? Obviously, full-time, very little flexibility here, limited potential. Now, some of you may go, no, Steve, I'm in sales. I've got unlimited potential. Oh, yeah? Then why do they cut your sales territory all the time? Why do they cut your commissions all the time? All right, limited potential. There's risk. People are getting laid off all the time. You're controlled by a boss. Your boss tells you when to show up, when you can leave, what to wear, when you can have lunch, who you need to work with, who you need to sit by, controlled by a boss, and it's linear income, which means you're trading time for money. The problem with that is there's never enough time to make the kind of money that you want to make. All right? So this is what most people are used to. Now, when you compare corporate America to what we're doing here at Longevity, there's a bit of a difference. Because in our industry, if you're working this thing full time, you're working at 20 hours a week. Now think about that. Seriously think about that for a second. Some of you who think you're working your business 20 hours a week, really? Really? Really, really, really? We're family here. Okay? Billionaire boot camp ain't for babies, right? We're family here. Are you really, really working at 20 hours a week? Are you reorganizing your desk 10 of those hours? Alphabetizing your paper clips? All right, so you're working 20 hours a week. Hey, listen, go out there and work at 50 weeks a year. Give yourself 2 weeks a year for good behavior. But let's only do it for 5 years. Let's go out there and do it for 5 years. Now, I know some of you are going, Steve, I've already been in this thing for 8. Okay, look in the mirror. Are you really, really working it? Are you really doing the things that you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis? Okay, so that's 5,000 hours. Everybody else in the world considers that part-time. It's incredibly flexible, unlimited income potential. There's virtually no risk in our business. We don't have a boss telling us what to do. And what you're building is a residual income. Now, if you take a look at the left side or the right side, what looks more inviting? But for some reason, we're all convinced that this is the way that we're supposed to do it. Okay? And some people, that when you show them this business, they're looking and go, oh, it's one of those things. It's one of those pyramid deals. I don't do pyramid deals. Hey, that's like a cult, man. You driving a pink Cadillac yet? Well, guys, what I don't understand is why people would want to work an extra 75,000 hours when they don't really have to. That's the difference. That's the difference. You sit there and go, left side versus right side. Is that worth getting beat up a little bit? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. When I come here with you guys this weekend, and Dre's like, oh, Steve, he's away from his family and all. You know what? This is as hard as I ever work in this business. This is it. I get to hang out with you guys. That's as hard as I ever work in this business. You sit there and go, okay, you get to hang out with self-motivated, positive people that want to make a change in their life, and they pay you that kind of money to do that? I'm going, yeah. That's a pretty cool deal, okay? I've had friends of mine. They'll call me up and say, hey, Steve, can you play golf on Saturday? What are you doing on Saturday? Can you play golf? I say, no, I need to be in Baltimore. I'm doing a big deal with Andre. And they'll tell me, to say, man, I wouldn't do what you do for nothing. It's a good thing I don't do it for nothing. Right? And then in my next breath, I'll say, but I'm free on Monday. I'm free on Monday. I'm free on Monday.